April 13th, 2026, Texas. July 4th, 2026, Mississippi. Two 18-year-olds. 2 trips with friends. Only the friends came home. Daniel Erving went to a Texas lake with 2 other teenagers. According to investigators, all 3 entered the water, but only 2 returned. Nearly 3 months later, those 2 teenagers were arrested, not for killing Daniel, but for allegedly throwing away his clothes, discarding his cell phone, and deleting communications connected to him. Then, less than 3 months after Daniel disappeared, another 18-year-old athlete named Nolan Wells traveled to a remote Mississippi island with friends. Once again, the friends returned, and once again, one young man did not. Nolan's body was found 2 days later in the water near Horn Island. 2 families are now asking variations of the same terrifying question. What really happened after their sons left with people they trusted? And in Daniel's case, why did the people who were allegedly present try to erase evidence that he had ever been there? Before continuing, this distinction is important. These cases are not officially connected. They happened in different states, 3 months apart, and under different circumstances. No publicly confirmed evidence shows that the people involved in one case had any relationship with those involved in the other, but the similarities have caused the names Daniel Erving and Nolan Wells to appear together across social media. Both were 18. Both were athletes. Both entered isolated waterside locations with friends. Both became separated from those friends. And in both cases, the families say the explanations they received left them with more questions than answers. But there is one major difference. In Daniel's case, police say evidence was deliberately discarded. And what allegedly happened after Daniel vanished may be the most disturbing part of the entire story. Daniel Erving was an 18-year-old high school senior from North Texas. His family described him as an outstanding young man who stayed away from trouble. He was an honor roll student, participated on his school's swim team, and had reportedly been preparing for a future in the military. His mother said he also liked to be called Mike.
Justice for Daniel Erving.
Justice for Daniel Erving.
The mother of a Texas teenager found dead in a Dallas area lake is now demanding murder charges after police say the friends her son was with covered up evidence instead of calling for help.
We're here to have murder charges brought against those 2. I believe that they did it intentionally, knowingly, willingly.
18-year-old Daniel Erving, an honor roll student and member of his school swim team, drowned after jumping from a railroad bridge into Lake Ray Hubbard with 2 other teens, according to an arrest affidavit. The medical examiner ruled his death an accident, but police say instead of calling 911, the teens threw Erving's clothes into the trees, tossing his phone from their car, and deleted their messages with him. His body was left in the lake for 4 days. 19-year-old Lucas Roper and a juvenile are charged with tampering with evidence, but neither is accused of causing Daniel's death. Attorney Ben Crump has joined the case, demanding a grand jury.
They tried to destroy any connection they had to him. But thank God we serve a God that sits high and looks low, and the truth could not be hidden forever.
Amen.
Police say they conducted a thorough investigation, but Crump is drawing comparisons to another case he's working on in Mississippi, where 18-year-old Nolan Wells was found dead off a barrier island after a boat trip. He was the only one of his friends who did not come home. Investigators believe he drowned and say there were no immediate signs of foul play. Wells' parents, who are conducting their own investigation, are set to meet today with the district attorney.
That description matters because Daniel was not unfamiliar with water. Being a capable swimmer does not make drowning impossible. Strong swimmers can still drown because of exhaustion, injury, currents, cold water shock, panic, or other medical circumstances. But Daniel's swimming experience became one reason his family questioned the explanation that followed. On April 13th, 2026, Daniel was last seen with 19-year-old Lucas Roper and a 17-year-old juvenile. According to the arrest affidavit described by authorities, the three traveled to Lake Ray Hubbard near Rowlett, Texas. Investigators say they went fishing and swimming before jumping from a railroad bridge into the lake near the 6300 block of Miller Road. Daniel reportedly entered the water but did not return to the surface. Imagine that moment. Your friend disappears beneath the water. Seconds pass. Then a minute. There is no sign of him. What would you do? Call 911? Search from the shoreline? Wave down another boat? Contact his mother? According to investigators, that is not what happened. And this is where the case stops sounding like a simple tragedy and begins raising much darker questions. Investigators allege that after Daniel drowned, Lucas Roper and the juvenile left the location without reporting what had happened. Police say they drove away and began disposing of items connected to Daniel. Roper allegedly threw Daniel's clothing into a tree line near the bridge. The juvenile allegedly threw Daniel's cell phone from the moving vehicle after Roper directed him to discard it. Investigators also allege that communications between Daniel and Roper were deleted because Roper expected an investigation and did not want to get into trouble. Remember, the charges concern what allegedly happened after Daniel entered the water. Authorities have not charged either teenager with killing him. But Daniel's family is asking an obvious question. Why would anyone conceal an accident? Panic can cause irrational behavior. A frightened teenager might fear being blamed, punished for trespassing, or accused of causing a death. But panic does not automatically explain every decision that allegedly followed. Not calling for help, leaving the lake, taking Daniel's possessions, throwing away his clothes, discarding his phone, deleting communications, and then returning to ordinary life while Daniel's family searched for him. Each act may eventually receive an explanation in court. Taken together, however, they created the appearance of a deliberate effort to separate Daniel from the people who had been with him. Daniel was reported missing on April 13th. His body was not recovered until April 17th, 4 days after he disappeared. The Dallas County Medical Examiner determined that Daniel died from drowning and classified his death as accidental. For 4 days, his family did not know where he was. According to the allegations, the people who knew where he had last been did not immediately reveal the full story. That delay is now central to the family's anger. Daniel's attorneys have argued that while his body remained in the lake, the people who were allegedly with him continued attending school and carrying on with their lives. The family believes the evidence tampering allegations justify a much deeper examination of what happened before Daniel entered the water. On July 9, almost 3 months after Daniel's death, police arrested Lucas Roper and the 17-year-old juvenile. Both were charged with tampering with physical evidence, a third-degree felony. At the time of this script, neither had been charged with homicide or with directly causing Daniel's death. Daniel's family says, evidence tampering charges represent only partial accountability. They want prosecutors to present the full case to a grand jury and consider whether homicide charges are justified. Their position is straightforward. They do not believe throwing away Daniel's belongings, deleting messages, and failing to call for help can be treated as insignificant behavior after an accidental drowning. But investigators have maintained the official conclusion that Daniel's death was accidental. Those two positions now stand against each other. The medical finding says drowning. The manner of death says accident. The alleged behavior afterward says concealment. And until the evidence is fully examined in court, the public does not know exactly Nolan Xavier Wells was an 18-year-old football player from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. He had played at Ocean Springs High School and Southwest Mississippi Community College. His coaches and family described him as sociable, peaceful, and ambitious, with hopes of eventually competing at a high-level Division I football program. He would have turned 19 the following month. The night before his final trip, Nolan visited his parents, cooked salmon for them, and hugged his mother goodbye. On July 4th, he joined friends for a boat trip to Horn Island. It was supposed to be a holiday celebration. By the end of the day, Nolan had vanished. Horn Island is an uninhabited barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It is accessible only by boat. The island is approximately 11 miles long and sits about 7 miles from the coast, creating miles of beaches, dunes, vegetation, and open water with limited phone service and no ordinary network of security cameras. On July 4th, Nolan traveled there with friends aboard a boat that departed from a private dock near Ocean Springs. Authorities initially placed his last confirmed sighting at approximately 3 p.m., but Nolan did not return on the same boat. The friend's account, as described by the sheriff, was that Nolan chose to remain on the island, expecting to find another ride back. Nolan's parents do not believe that explanation fits their son, and one detail immediately intensified their doubts. Nolan's friends reportedly returned with his cell phone and keys. Why would an 18-year-old voluntarily stay on a remote island without his phone, without his keys, and without guaranteed transportation? There may be an innocent explanation. Perhaps the items were accidentally left aboard the boat. Perhaps he expected to reunite with the group moments later. Perhaps there was a misunderstanding. But Nolan never had the opportunity to explain. According to the known timeline, a friend contacted the Coast Guard shortly after 11 p.m. on July 4th. Nolan's mother contacted the Jackson County Sheriff's Office around midnight after he failed to return home. The next day, multiple agencies began searching around Horn Island by helicopter, boat, and aircraft. Nolan's father also went onto the water to search for his son. The family tracked Nolan's phone, but the phone was on the mainland, not with Nolan. His car remained parked at the house, where he had stayed before the boat trip. The person was missing. The phone was not. The keys were not. And the people who had traveled with him were already back on land. At approximately 8:45 on the morning of July 6th, a National Park Service ranger found a body in the water near the northwestern tip of Horn Island. Dental records later confirmed it was Nolan. His body had been discovered more than a day after he was last seen alive. Unlike Daniel's case, Nolan's official cause and manner of death had not been released as of July 15. Investigators have said drowning is suspected, but the state autopsy and toxicology findings are still pending. Authorities have not publicly confirmed evidence of foul play. That does not prove nothing criminal happened. It also does not prove that Nolan was attacked. It means the investigation has not reached a final public conclusion. Nolan's family retained civil rights attorney Ben Crump and commissioned an independent autopsy. They also raised questions about the contents of Nolan's cell phone. His mother said Nolan regularly used Snapchat during gatherings, but when the family examined the device, his accounts appeared to contain little or no saved material from the event. The family believes some information may have been deleted and wants specialists to examine the device. On July 15th, the family's legal team met with Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers McIlrath. The district attorney said a decision about whether Nolan's death involved a prosecutable crime will come only after the sheriff's investigation is complete. Officials said the case will be presented to a grand jury, which is standard for unnatural or suspicious deaths in that jurisdiction. The sheriff's office and the family's team also plan to conduct a mutual inspection of Nolan's phone. The phone may answer important questions. Where was it during the critical hours? Who accessed it? Were messages deleted? Were photographs uploaded and then removed? Or will the examination show that some of the online suspicions are based on misunderstandings? That forensic review could become one of the most important parts of the investigation.
Good morning. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Eric Hertz, Justin Preston, and Cliff Jones. We have the honor of representing the family of Nolan Wells. We have present with us his mother and father, Christine and Elmore. We've just had an opportunity to meet with District Attorney Angel McElgrath and some members of her team. We had a very respectful meeting. The thing I assume some of you may know, the thing to announce, she shared with the family that there will be a grand jury that she will turn this case over to once they have collected all the information and finished their investigation. We also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts. Attorney Eric Hertz is helping lead the investigation team with former law enforcement experts who are going to help us with the cell phone download. So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has. We also talked about trying to make sure we dot every I and cross every T. I know that we're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day from people who were there on Horn Island, people who are familiar with individuals that were there on Horn Island. And so we continue to be steadfast in trying to get to the truth of why Nolan Wells is dead. At this time, we'll have Attorney Hertz say a few words, and then Christine and Elmore will just talk about the homegoing services and celebration for Nolan, and then we'll take a few of your questions. Attorney Eric Hertz.
Thank you. Right now, there's a lot of unanswered questions. We appreciate the district attorney meeting with us, but because of certain types of confidentiality that even the victims are not allowed to know, we did not get all the answers we want. We have an independent investigation going on that involves former law enforcement, federal agents that are going to be looking into all the different information we got. The calls are coming in and we're getting a lot of information. Some of the people that I spoke to are not talking with law enforcement here. We're going to be trying to get them to cooperate with each other because we want to make sure the narrative, which has been put out that is false, is going to be corrected. So at this point, we just ask everybody to keep calling in if you have any information and let us know. And I personally, if we validate you're a legitimate call, we'll call you and talk to you. And I thank you all for showing up today.
And now, Christine and Elmore will just share with you some details of the homegoing celebration for their son.
Hello, everyone. So, the homegoing celebration, the funeral will be held at Center Point Church in Ocean Springs. It is going to be, visitation will be 9 to 11, and then the funeral will start after that. The plan is for the repast because, again, we want to celebrate Nolan. And he would not want us to be sitting around crying and eating. And so what we're going to do is kind of have a party to celebrate him, and that'll be held at the Jackson County Fairgrounds. So we really do want to keep it for family and friends. We are going to allow media to come in as well. And lastly, I just...
His teammates.
Oh, absolutely, teammates. We've already contacted Coach Les George because we want to make sure that those guys are there. Former teammates from high school, middle school, teams that he played against. You guys are all welcome, but of course, you know, we want to make sure that our families for sure and close friends get there. So I do want to just say, for those of you, again, if you are having protests, even the day of his service, I am asking you guys to just keep it peaceful. Nolan would never want any type of violence or anything like that. He was not that kind of person. So if you guys would, again, just be peaceful. And to the community, thank you so much. Just the outpouring of love, support. We've had some local officials, Mayor Casey Vaughn from Gaucher has reached out to us. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. He has, it's almost been every day. He's been texting to check on us. Also, Jeffrey Hullum, thank you so much. He's been texting pretty much every day. Receiving a lot of stories from Nolan's teachers, which just warms my heart, his classmates, teammates. So again, for those of you who have donated to the GoFundMe, once again, I stress, if you are not financially able to, we're not begging for that money, okay? If you're not financially able to, we understand. We thank you for whatever you can give, but if you cannot, if you would, just keep us in your prayers. And to his friends, stay strong, and please just take care of your mental health, because I know this is a lot. It's a lot for us, and I know you guys are feeling some of that too. So thank you all.
Are there any questions? Yes.
Attorney Crump, Skyler Henry here with CBS News. The last time that you spoke in a setting like this, I know you guys were hoping to get results back from an independent autopsy. I know you mentioned that Nolan has been sent to Washington. Is there anything to share on that front?
Not at this time, but we hope soon, very soon. Obviously, we're concentrating on the funeral services, but hopefully shortly thereafter, we will be able to tell some findings of the preliminary autopsy. Still waiting on some things. And I also, while we're talking about funeral services, want to thank Mr. Tyler Perry for paying for the funeral.
Absolutely.
As well as Colin Kaepernick for helping to shoulder the expense of the independent autopsy. And I thank Reverend Al for agreeing to officiate the funeral services. Yes, sir.
Aaron Gilchrist with NBC News. Mr. and Mrs. Wansley, you said from the very beginning that for you, this was really about getting some answers about what happened to your son. Do you feel like after your meeting today, you have any more clarity on what happened?
Well, it was just a meeting where she talked about the process. She didn't tell us any information about the investigation too much, because those things are, as she said, her role and what she has to do. But they still have questions, and that's not insignificant to this meeting. It's just in general. Every morning they wake up and there's a hole in their heart, and they are trying to say, what happened to my son? Obviously, you know, they feel strongly that he would not have just stayed behind. He wouldn't have left his cell phone. And so we're trying to get to those answers.
Attorney Crump, Brian Rose, GC Wire. There's been a lot of misinformation that's been spread online, especially the pool picture that was shared by you, and you had said that...
Well, I didn't share it, I reposted it. We're reposting everything. Let's make it clear, we're reposting everything because we're trying to get people to come in and call. And so we've said from the beginning, we're in a ferocious search for the truth. And so things out there, we are trying to post, ask people, do you know something about this? Let us know. Just because we repost does not mean that we authenticate anything. Look at our social media. We have always been very careful to say this is a repost, and we almost always give a declaration that that's what it is, a repost. And so we want people to continue to call about everything, videos, whatever interactions they saw. And thank God, we are getting dozens of people calling every day saying, I was on Horn Island. This is what I saw. I know these individuals. This is what we know. They said, we understand the sheriff's investigation has hundreds of people calling too. And so the hope is that when this is presented to the grand jury, all relevant witnesses and evidence will be presented to them so that we can have a fair and impartial investigation into the death of Nolan Wells. We were very honest and candid with the district attorney, and she was honest and candid with us. Our lived experiences tell us that we must question everything, everybody's role, law enforcement role. That is the lived experience of us as black people in America. And we would be not honoring the ancestors' sacrifices for us if we did not be honest every chance we got when we talk to power. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the false narrative out there. Well, I've seen quite a few of those, so I was wondering if you could tell us which false narrative you're talking about so we can let people know it's not true. Was there a particular false narrative you were
There's a lot of narratives out there right now, and
There's a lot of narratives we're going to try to investigate all.
there's a lot of narratives out there right now. I'm not going to comment on any particular one, but whenever a case this big gets in the news, people try, for whatever motivations, law enforcement or whoever, people that call in, try to set up a narrative so that people will follow the narrative. Our job is to cut through all the noise and find the truth. And the truth needs to be found by unbiased investigation, as well as unbiased lawyers and all the people that are out here, all you investigatory journalists and everyone else. We just ask that you keep an open mind until we get to the truth.
And one of the things I will say, we are trying desperately to figure it out. And we don't profess to have all the answers, but boy, we're trying. And so when people call and tell us this is this person, and then we get somebody saying that, no, this isn't that person, we're trying to balance it all. So we want to even be more careful ourselves to make certain that we're trying to get people to come forward. And there are a lot of people who have different perspectives. We're getting that just from the phone calls, that people who were there at the same time are saying different things. But we're going to get there. We're going to get to the truth.
So first, I
yes.
just want to say my deepest condolences to you, Christine, and Elmore. My heart hurts. I'm breaking the guild, WLOX here at home. But I want to go on and ask you, Attorney Ben Crump, you say that you were talking about the process and there with the DA. Were any affidavits or possible prosecutions or criminal actions presented to her to be signed eventually, or do we know anything right now?
And as she said, her role is confidential at this point, but so she can maintain her prosecutorial independence. Obviously, I stressed to her very strenuously to say, we want you to zealously, you and the Sheriff's Department, to zealously investigate this matter, and Christine and Elmore share their life experiences too. We know through our lived experiences and our life experiences, and she said that's not how our office operates, but we know in America, in the South, certain people are investigated differently. And we shared that with her. We didn't, ask that she understand our perspective, but we said we should mutually try to understand each other's perspectives, where we're coming from. And we agreed that we would try to do that.
Where are we at in the investigation, the autopsy? We were supposed to get it back Friday.
Well, no, we like we said, we're waiting. Let the doctors do what they do. They ain't got their autopsy back neither. So we're trying to get it right. And then when we get it, we're going to share it. Yes, ma'am.
On Friday in the press conference, you said that you hear on the video Nolan saying, "Give
Yes.
me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?"
That's what a witness told us, and that's what we reported out. Then another witness had come forward and said, no, that was his voice. We have other witnesses who said there were other altercations. So, as Mr. Hurt said, we're trying to go through it all and so forth. And we'll be even more careful to say this is what a witness told us in the future.
And so your team hasn't been able to look fully into that to confirm whether it was or was not Nolan that said
No,
that?
we have audio people doing it, but we know certain people said it was him, and then certain people said it was not him.
Are you worried about the death threats and the
Well,
violent kind of atmosphere on social media and how these fake videos and photos could play into
oh
that?
my God, I saw a
Even
fake
with
video.
Nolan's friends getting death threats?
We don't want anybody's life to be in harm's way just because we're trying to get to the truth of what happened to Christine and Elmore's son. We saw fake videos about AI-generated videos of Christine, and it's just god-awful as they're grieving and trying to fight for the truth that they are also having to deal with these fake videos attacking them as they are just trying to literally bury their son next week. But we want everybody to say that we can go through this journey together for the truth. And even though we may have different viewpoints, we can all agree that everybody wants the truth. And nobody's life should be threatened for seeking the truth. Nobody should be, presumed accountable until we have evidence. His mother and father only want, and Christine has said it multiple times, she only wants what you would want. If this was your son, if this was your daughter, wouldn't you want desperately to get to the truth? Wouldn't you want people who were closest in proximity to what happened to be investigated and thoroughly investigated? We know